Hello there, welcome to another video on investing in stocks. If you have any questions or suggestions, please do drop me a comment. I appreciate and try to answer all of them. Now today I want to talk about Apple. The company just passed $1 trillion in market cap. It's the world's largest, richest and most profitable company, posting about $255 billion in revenue. Just an incredible company, firing on all cylinders, but I still do think it's an under-owned stock. And I think everyone should own a little bit of Apple. And with all the recent news and all the, just crushing numbers, I think it's fair to ask, is there any weakness in Apple, and is it the perfect company? Maybe not the perfect investment, but the perfect company. So they just posted about $53 billion in revenue, which is up 17% for the same period last year, and that's 60% international revenue, which is something you really want to see because most people live outside the US and a lot of money is being spent in Europe and Asia, and Apple is really getting into those markets. So you shouldn't worry about Apple just being a US company and being limited to that one market. Now all numbers were up. The iPhone revenue was way up. Sales grew only a little bit, but I think revenue was up maybe 20% because of the increase in the price range. So people are now buying iPhones, for $1,000 a phone, because Apple has the best pricing power, the best brand, and the most loyal user base. This is no problem for them. So they're increasing the price, thus increasing the revenue per phone before they even start spending on the phone, and they can do this because they're Apple. Now, of course, besides iPhone, which is not the main story anymore really, wearables are crushing it. Apple is dominating the smartwatch market, which is growing very, very quickly. Soon, maybe everyone will be wearing a smartwatch. It's growing like crazy. An Apple Watch is the most sold smartwatch. They've sold 50 million devices worldwide so far, and they have a big market share of an increasing market, so it couldn't get any better there. Services are crushing it, which is what all investors are looking at. It's a way more scalable revenue source of income than devices, because there's only so many iPhones and iPads and MacBooks and everything you could sell, because there's only so many consumers in the world. It's only such a large segment. But with services, it's almost unlimited how much money they can actually make. And the main source for the services are people spending money on their iPhones. So buying movies, games, music, using Apple Watch and so on. And the average spending per iPhone is now at $77, but it's projected to hit $88 annually per iPhone user by 2020, which is basically now. And they have 700 million active iPhones, which means Apple can make in 2 years $62 billion a year simply from people buying stuff on their phone. Not even the phone itself, just buying movies and music and games. Games is the largest segment, I believe. That's almost twice as much money as the Coca-Cola company makes in a year. They've got 1.3 billion active devices, which they can harness more and more money from. And besides the company fundamentally and their balance sheet being the #1 in the world, and they're firing on all cylinders, it's a safe stock. I think it's an undervalued stock. They're doing a lot of share buybacks. It has a safe dividend. The way I look at it, there's no reason not to own Apple. All arrows are pointing up, and I've been a shareholder for 3 years, never regretted it. It used to be a really boring company, and I was quite worried about the slowdown in iPhone sales, but they've now shifted away from the iPhone sales to everything else being the focus. And they've really, with AirPods and Apple Watch and services, they've actually managed to get away from that one-trick pony it was when the iPhone was pretty much all of the revenue. So they're doing everything right, and I don't see any reason not to own this stock.